Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today we are going to be adding vehicles and minifigures to the Lego City. And to start this video off, we are going to be opening up this package that I just got in the mail here. So I'm going to unbox this for you guys, show you what's inside, and then we can get started. Alright, so I've already gone ahead and cracked the seal on it, so I can just go ahead and kind of pull it all out for you. And so basically, what is in here is a bunch of minifigs. I saw a deal on Facebook Marketplace for a bunch of figures for only $3 and $3 each. And so I went through and I picked out a bunch of the ones that I thought were interesting. And so I'm just going to quickly show you guys all of these and then we can add them to the city. So I'm just going to kind of go in a random order here. And you'll see a lot of classic figures as opposed to more modern ones. I thought these were pretty interesting here. And so we can kind of see that some of them are from certain themes, whereas others are just kind of generic city style figures, which was kind of what I was going for, and that's what the seller had a bunch of. So that is pretty cool to see, and a lot of them have the classic smiley face or some variation of it, as you can see. But I thought some of these torsos were really cool as well. I've never owned that before, so that's pretty neat. Again, some classic figures here. Obviously they're not going to have leg printing or anything like that, but there are a couple of modern figures here. I figured I'd get these guys for the beach. That was a pretty good find. And then the figure here, this little kid, I think is the only other modern figure in the pile. And then, yeah, it looks like everything else is pretty old, like from the 90s and stuff like that. And then there's this guy right here, which was really interesting. I've never seen a physical figure of this before. So really happy to get my hands on one of these. This was the same face, at least from one of the video games from way back in the day, one of the Lego video games. So really happy to get that and add him to the city. And then there is two of this torso right here. And it's really cool to get this old hairpiece here. That's from the late 70s, early 80s. So that's neat. And then we have two more figures right here with the brown jacket and then this red torso on the right. So, and then also this helmet here is also really neat. So that's cool. And then the final two figures here, one's just a generic guy, and then the other one here has this really intricate detail on him, as you can see. So that is really, really cool. And a lot of these figures are actually in pretty good condition. So that's great to see. Some of the figures, you'll notice, do have a little bit of scuffing on them, unfortunately, but that's okay. These are probably 40 years old at this point, so you can't expect them to be in perfect condition, but that is all 18 figures that I got. Again, they were $3 a piece, so I feel pretty good about this. There are definitely some figures in here that are probably worth more than $3. Like, I'm sure this guy alone is worth more than that because I've never seen this figure here. If you guys know what set this figure is from, definitely let me know in the comments below. But with that being said, let's go ahead and start to place these in the city along with some vehicles, and then we can see how everything looks. So the first place that I want to add figures is actually over here. In a recent video, we went ahead and we added this little railway museum over here with this retired passenger coach, which is actually my first official Lego train. And then over here, you'll see a couple of picnic benches as well as a regular bench over here underneath the bonsai tree. And I've already gone in and started to add a couple of figures, as you can see, one on the bench and then another at the table. But I want to go in and I want to add a few more around this area here. I think that would really help bring this entire area to life. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of the figures. I've already gotten a couple of them onto the city here. And then we can go ahead and we can start to add them in and start to tell some unique stories. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've added a few figures here. So as you can see, I added two of the figures that I got in the order today on the picnic table. And then I added two more right here walking by. And then I also added a vehicle right here. I decided to go with the Spider-Verse cop car. I thought that was a pretty good choice here. And I think it looks pretty good. And then we have a couple more figures down here. These have been here though, I think. And then I also went ahead and I added that guy, or two of them actually, down on the other modular building there, as you can see. And then I also added one right here on the edge of the platform. I think that's a pretty good spot for him, and I think he looks pretty good there. So with that, we can move on to the next area of the city. I don't think we're going to add any down the rest of the way here. I think that is pretty good in terms of minifigures and the amount of density that I want to have. So we're going to move on to the rest of the city right now. All right, so I've started to go ahead and work on this area next, which is in front of the Assembly Square and also the Natural History Museum. So you can see I've added a couple of figures on the sidewalk here. I'm still not 100% sure what this area is going to be. I think this section here, this 16 by 16 plate and that one right there, that's going to become a skate park, I think. But then as for what's going to go here, I'm not totally sure. So still need to figure that out. But the other stuff that I worked on here, as you can see, I added some vehicles. I went ahead and I added the Ford in the back there, as you can see. And I also added this guy on the motorcycle. I thought he needed to be on a bike instead of just walking around. So there is that. And then I also added this guy here. And then I'm going to try and work out the math on this area right here, as well as this side as well. I've started working over here a little bit as well, but I'm going to show you that in the next clip because I still have a lot more work to do. But I did also go ahead and add in the power miners over here. This was an old scene from the previous city layout, but I liked it so much and I wanted to bring it back. So here it is, and I think that looks pretty good. And it is just really fun to see them on the city layout once more. So with that, I'm going to get back to work over in this area right here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work out the math on that area right now. One thing that I also did was I added back the crane into the Lego City, and I'm really happy about that, actually. It hasn't been in the city since we completely redid the layout, but I'm happy to add it back. I think it looks pretty good there, and it helps add a lot of visual interest to the skyline, so that is really nice to finally get that back in. But in this area over here, I've been pretty busy mainly with this section right here. And so I'm going through and I am adding a crosswalk here for pedestrians to cross the train tracks. And then I don't have any more printed tiles, so I'm going to go in and just use some grates. That's probably the easiest solution here, but it doesn't look the best. So I'm going to have to figure out a different solution, but this will work for the time being. And then I want to also redo this area right here so that looks a little bit cleaner and more like this, I think. And then I'm going to go in and add the tiles on top. That area will be all good to go. And then I just need to add the light gray tiles here, some 1x1s and some corner tiles through here. And then we can go and we can start to add more details to this area. I tried a wall design. I completely forgot that I wanted to do a curved wall here with the 1x2 rounded plates. And then so I just had this masonry wall here for a while, and I took that apart and I decided to try it here, but it doesn't look good. So this will get taken out, so don't worry about that. This does not look good at all. But the reason I had that here was actually because of the angled sidewalks, I think. Before I settled on a wedge plate design to help kind of bridge the transition, I was going to put the masonry wall there and then kind of blend it with foliage. So that was my thought process with it, but I don't really like that. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just use the wedge plates instead. So that's all good for me. And so I'm going to get back to work on this. I'm going to add some more details to this area. And then once that's all good to go, then we can go ahead and we can start to add some vehicles on these streets here. All right, so this area might not look super different, but a lot of time and a lot of math has gone into this, trying to figure out what is the best way to do all of this. And I am still trying to work out everything, but I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of an update. And so the easiest thing that I found actually to connect this area here, because if you don't have this hinge brick here, this sidewalk, the angled sidewalk here, just kind of comes out too much. So in order to keep it in, I need a hinge brick. I don't have any hinge plates in dark gray. That would be perfect for this, I think. But unfortunately, I don't have any, and so instead what I'm doing is I'm going to make this little box right here, which could be like a little planter maybe. It could be literally anything, so I think that is probably my best option at the moment. So then I'll keep that there, and then I might make a small one on the other side there just to kind of help frame it up, and then also because I need this hinge brick here on the other side as well. So that is pretty much that, and then I also want to go in and add dark gray wedge plates on top of the light gray, so then you don't have as much of a gap here. But unfortunately, I don't have dark gray wedge plates. This was the only one that I had, and of course I need the other side. of the wedge plate. I have a left and I need a couple rights. So that's that. Nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. Still trying to figure out the angle of how this is going to come together as well. And then some of the other stuff that I did, as you can see, I added the DeLorean and the Mystery Machine right in this intersection right here. And then as you come down a little bit, you can see some of the Speed Champions cars throughout here. And I think those look really, really good coming down the way here. I did knock these trees over when I was putting these cars in, so just ignore that for the time being. But I also went in and I added this masonry wall along the back here, so you're not seeing the Mills plate right here. So then that actually makes it look a little bit better. And I just did dark gray all the way down. I thought that was the easiest. And then I just need to go in and I need to add a little bit of green, I think, green plate throughout here. I could do dark gray, but I might do green because then you have the green base plate here and then you have green plate down here, and I think it would just make a little bit more sense. So that is that. I do also want to change this gray base plate to green as well. Then that way I could have green base plates all the way down this eventually. I think that would look pretty good. And then also just make the city have a little bit more color to it instead of everything being gray. But with that, now we are back over here. And so this is my main focus for the moment, is just trying to figure all of this out here. So there's not a whole lot I can do until I get those green wedge plates in, but I'm going to try a couple more things and then I'll show you guys what I come up with and if I can find any of those wedge plates right there. All right, so I did manage to go ahead and find some dark gray wedge plates, so that was good. I did have to steal them off of a set though, but that's okay. I think this is a better use of them because that set was just sitting in a bin anyways. So I'm really happy with this actually. This gap isn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I think that looks pretty good. And then I also did it over here and also the other spots as well. So I think that looks pretty good. And then we can go ahead and we can start to flesh out the rest of this. Unfortunately, I still don't have the wedge plates in green, so there's not a whole lot else I can do. And I know the point of today's video was to add minifigures and vehicles to the city, and we did do that, and I do think that it looks really, really good. And so I'm actually going to wrap up the video here because there's nothing else I can really do until I get those wedge plates in. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss any future uploads. If you guys have any feedback for me on any other stories you want me to tell in the city, make sure to drop a comment down below to let me know what you think. But once again, seriously, thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.